Good morning and welcome to the Morning Post, sponsored by Racing Post Members Club. Fingers crossed for everybody today. Sandown is so far on. Will it still be on halfway through this show? Who knows? There's another inspection at 9:30. We've got a good panel to go through the racing as usual though, starting with Aidan Coleman, regular
at this stage, yeah. Yeah, this stage, yeah. So I'm enjoying it. Yeah, I'm great racing to talk about as well. Shame we lost the entry, but Sandown's more than good enough.
Never had much of a chance, is it?
No, never looked like it.
We've got Graeme Rodway too.
Morning, Kels. How you doing?
Yeah, all good.
It's the winds are whistling, isn't it? Through the studio.
I'm persuade you to come to Sandown, aren't I? So.
Well, if it's on, I think you might have some success there. It's a good day's racing, isn't it? I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent, good man. And over in Ireland we have Johnny Dineen. Johnny, good morning.
Hello, lads.
There he is. Good? How you doing? You're dressed. What's going on?
just out of bed, actually.
He's not in bed. He's not in bed today. Yes,
Excellent. Right, we're getting the panel out of the way. We've got to go quickly now because we've got a very special guest in 12-time champion trainer Paul Nicholls, also 12 times winner of the Tingle Creek Chase. I believe it's 12, Paul.
Morning. How are you?
Yeah, all good. All good, Paul. Yeah, 12 times winner of the Tingle Creek, but no runner today.
Right, yeah. No, nothing suitable this year. Hopefully put that right in the future. Yeah, been a good race for us.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's been a good couple of weeks for you too as well, hasn't it? I mean, I made it. You've now won. You did say sort of mid-October, I don't think I'll be winning the trainers title this year, but now you've won the two biggest handicap chases pre-Christmas in the Paddy Power Gold Cup and the Cole Gold Cup, and of course, first trainer to do so in 20 years. It's been done about 5 times, but you're the only trainer to do it 2 different horses. Which, given the distance of the race, that's unusual, isn't it? But you had a great Newbury, and you unleashed a few stars as well. Caldwell Potter made a really good debut at Carlisle. Can you hear me, Paul?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I'm listening.
Sorry. Caldwell Potter made a really good debut at Carlisle.
Yeah, very, very pleased with that. Obviously, we had a best November we've ever had training, actually, so that was good. We were a bit slow starting, but that was always intentional. Horses are good. Caldwell Potter, like you say, couldn't have done any more, could he, than he expected, but he jumped well, gained some valuable experience. I've got to work out where to go with him next.
Absolutely. And I suppose it's the same problem with Regent Stroll, who won over hurdles. Is he going straight to the Challow?
Yeah, a lot of chat on about that, really, was where to go, because Jed and the boys also own the horse with Willie Twiston Davis, Potter's Charm, which is obviously a very smart horse. But I've always thought I was going to go there. Whether I can just sneak another little run into him beforehand, it's getting tight enough, to be honest with you. Although you'd hardly knew he had a race the other day, and if he had a run around somewhere like Wincanton next week, it wouldn't do him any harm. It would no more than what he probably does at home. But I think I've always, from when he came in, I was always giving him 1 or 2 runs and go with the Challow, and I don't see any reason to change that unless the ground came up very, very tested.
Which of course it can do, because it did last year, didn't it? It was bottomless when Captain Teague won it. All right, Paul, I know we can't keep you very long, so can we have a look through today's runners? You start off at Sandown. You've got a couple of non-runners, Cabral de Mathan and Rubo. Now I'm taking that's both ground relating.
Yeah, totally, because of the ground. Cabral de Mathan go to Ascot in a couple of 3 weeks' time, and as long as the ground's not heavy, and Rabode will go to Kempton on the 27th. I think a track he likes better. Just the ground was very slow, and testing yesterday wasn't ideal for those two.
Yeah, absolutely. Rubo, that would have been a bold call to go Grade 1 first time. He's obviously been pleasing you with his jumping at home.
Yeah, but this day and age, there's nowhere else to go with him. You try finding a beginner's chase or somewhere to get some experience. The races just aren't there anymore, so you end up getting forced into these races. It's not an easy situation with horses like that. I'd love to go and find a nice beginner's chase somewhere, but of course nowadays, if I'd gone and find a beginner's chase somewhere and there was 2 or 3 runners, everyone would be kicking off. So you can't win, really. So you end up having to go into these type of races. His jumping has been very good. It's just the ground and the track's not ideal, so we're going to wait for Kempton 27.
Absolutely. Be looking forward to that. Okay, move on to the actual runners. You start off with the Mayor's Handicap. You've got Larchmont Lass. She won well at Wincanton last time.
Yeah, and ground was quick enough for her that day. She won at Sandown. She won the listed Mayor's Bumper a couple of years ago on very testing ground. I think that'll suit to the ground. It was very slow yesterday, as I said. Lorcan Williams is riding her. Harry's having another day off. He was still sore yesterday from a fall he had Monday, so he's waiting for Huntingdon tomorrow. So hopefully she'll have a good run.
Right. Oh, is Lorcan on all the others and the other two as well?
Freddie rides Henry II, who runs in the attempts qualifier. Now he's got a chance, I'd say. He had a very bad fall at Sandown last year, missed the rest of the season, and then he came back and had a nice run over hurdles in a boys' race about a month ago. Stayed on strongly, and always thought this race would suit him then.
Yeah, absolutely. I did too. I put him up in the paper today. He's a half brother to and Relo, isn't he? He was obviously got thrown out at the Bet365 Gold Cup. So you should hope that he's going to really relish to step up and trip.
Yeah, and of course he won the winter hurdle. It was on yesterday, a few years ago, on soft ground. He's going to want the trip, and as long as he's gone forward from that last run, he should go very well.
Lovely, excellent. And of course, we've now got Broken Halo in the final race.
Yeah, Chilorcan rides that one. He's ridden it quite a lot and was very unlucky last year. He fell at the second last. We're travelling really well behind Truckers Lodge. Done the same sort of thing this year, kept him fresh. You always think he's going to need a run when you look at him. I thought that last year, but it didn't matter too much. He was going to go very close. Ground suits him very nicely. Loves the trip, and as long as he's straight enough, he'll go very well.
Excellent. Well, let's hope so. And one more, Paul. We've got Huntingdon tomorrow. We've got to talk about Ginny's Destiny in the Peterborough Chase. What happened at Cheltenham? Has he come on for that? Did he just need it badly?
I think he probably did need it badly. He also ended up putting both hind legs in the water, jumped down the far side, if you can remember. And I don't think he was quite sore afterwards. That didn't help too much. 4 out, he looked the winner. 3 out, he wasn't the winner. And it's a completely different race to what he started off in last year. He at £20 low mark, he finished 6th or 7th, travelled well that day, and then got tired and just came on for a run. I think he's one of those gross horses. It's always going to come on for a run. So I'm just hoping that's the case. Slower ground tomorrow. I'm hoping he'll be right back to his best.
Okay, Paul, brilliant. Thank you very much, mate. Good luck today, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Yeah, thank you very much. My pleasure.
There we go. Moving on.
Informative.
Wind. Tell us about the wind, Aidan. What happens when you're riding in the wind?
It's like anything will happen when you're driving. It's not much different. Obviously, you're a little bit more exposed on horseback, but I can't remember. Actually, this day a few years ago, we had an inspection just before the Beat Your Chase at Aintree for wind because there was a race before and one of the rails blew down, but the racing went ahead and it was fine. It is challenging, but
Was it above the horses at all, do you think?
I don't, not really, no, not really. No, they're usually fine.
And what about travelling horses during the...
I suppose I wouldn't be qualified to talk about that, but I suppose driving HGVs in this weather brings its own problems sometimes, but at the same time, I'm sure nobody would leave home unless they were sure it's safe and all that, and there's plenty of traffic on the roads anyway, isn't it, so I'm sure it's okay.
Absolutely, brilliant. What have we got next then, lads, the papers? Here you go, what's coming up? We're going to talk about the King George. Then we've got a paper roundup, Saturday previews coming up, which we hopefully will still have. Irish Angle with Johnny Dineen, racing at Navan, does go ahead, good horses there. And here we go, we're on the papers now. Can John Bond join the Quig Gods? Already won it once, and he's going to try and win it again, and he's odds on to do so. Good luck to those of us opposing John Bond. We are going to need it. That says Robbie Wilders, and the analysis is right there because he just keeps on winning. Smart View card, reigning champ taking familiar route. He gets 100% vote on the Smart View card. And there's a Smart View card yet again, where he still gets 100% vote. Henry VIII Novices Chase, Lodersud faces intriguing test of Arkle credentials. Good job the Irish travel over early, isn't it? Because I probably wouldn't be here. We'd have a 2-runner race, but Lodersud is going to be a warm favourite for that one. It's a huge weekend if Britain is really going to do better at the 2025 Cheltenham Festival, says David Jennings, who says Lodersud must beat down memory lane and touch me not at Sandown. Quilixios can spoil John Bond's Tingle party, according to Price Wise. Tom Siegel also tips Authorised Art in the 115, top of the bill in the 335. And got some free bets for you. Right, I believe we're going to go straight into the first race of the day now. which is not the 154 at Newbury. Come on, lads.
That was last week, wasn't it?
They're all non-runners there.
We can tell you. We can tell you what won it though.
I believe it is the 115.
115 at Sandown.
115. Let me read that. No, it's not the 150 either, lads. Come on. Oh, producer just said start with a 150 because we haven't got the 115 ready. It's good, this job, isn't it? Right, here we are. Henry VIII Novices Chase. Load of Sud. Good handicap hurdler. Second in the county last year. Second in the Betfair hurdle. Taking his form to a new level straight away over fences.
I suppose, has he though really, you know what I mean? He's he obviously won a race he should have been winning at Stratford first run, and then although he was a really good winner the last day, I don't think the form was anything
I think the
special.
handicap has got him £10-11 higher now than he was over hurdles.
But today I would I'm tipping against him in down memory lane, but if he wins this today, then I would be maybe jumping the bandwagon with him. But I just don't. I'd like to see a little bit more. Yeah, I'd like to see a bit more.
Right, Johnny, give us your thoughts on the Irish pair.
Yeah, look, I agree with Aidan there. Look, he's a smart horse, no questions about it. But this is a much stiffer test here, and he's probably going to be he's definitely going to be no better than third early on, maybe last to the fourth. So he's going to have to pass them all. And Touch Me Not is a supreme jumper. Like down memory lane jumped like a stag in today. He won in Navan, but he got loose and fun. So did Touch Me Not, and so Lycan likes making the running too. But I've never seen a horse like Touch Me Not. It's like Sprinter Sacker kind of stuff. You know what I mean? The accuracy of his jumping in Punchestown was unreal. And down memory lane is a good safe conveyance too. And Load of Sud, there's very little margin for error here now in this kind of a race. This is a way better race than the race like Western Zephyr, and them horses look away like they wouldn't be mapped in a race like this. So it's a stiffer test. I agree. Basically what Aidan said is what the way I feel. I wouldn't be on his wagon just yet, but if he does dismiss these horses, then he's a real candidate for the Arkle. But I'd like to at around the price he is now. With as little margin for error as there is, and these fences are coming thick and fast, and these horses can force mistakes out of you behind. I'd leave him win, that's for sure.
Yeah, I must admit, I really like the look of Touch Me Not myself. When he won, I thought he jumped like an absolute stag. I'm surprised there was that much of a difference between him and down memory lane in price, and I still don't think there should be that much of a difference in it. Rodders, how are you seeing it? Is this one for the home team?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Fab will win. I mean, he was good, wasn't he, at Cheltenham, and I think that his hurdles form is obviously better than anything else in the field. So if he turns up and even shows his best hurdle form, I think he'll win, and he looked good at Cheltenham. But having said that, I will say I don't know a heck of a lot about the two Irish horses, down...
Well, this is it. It's the one thing that DJ's saying in his column today. These were not great hurdlers.
No.
I know down memory lane actually went off favourite when Caldwell Potter won the Royal Bond last year, but it was still only rated 130 odds, as is, and I think Touch Me Not was worse, but obviously they're improving. But
Soul Icon would be a better hurdler than those two, probably. Yeah. I mean, he wasn't a bad horse either, but I'm it's one of those. I wouldn't back him because you just don't know how good those Irish horses are. They might have improved significantly for going chasing, and they're so unexposed. They've not really had a chance to show their hand, have they? But we do know, to a certain degree, that Lord de Sud can run to a high level. And if he turns up and runs to that level, the Irish horse is going to have to be pretty good to beat him. So I wouldn't back him at the price, but I think he'll win a Lord de Sud.
Right, there we go. 4-1 Novice Chase. You're Lord de Sud. You're down memory lane. Yeah. Johnny's just about Touch Me Not. I can't make my mind up.
So you might as well go Soul Icon then, and we've tipped away.
Great betting race, that one, isn't it, lads? Right, and we move on, or shall we indeed move backwards and hope that we've now got the 115. And here it is, Potemps Network Handicap Hurdle Qualifier, where you need to finish in the first four to make the final. It's a win and you're in, as long as you're in the handicap these days. Half of these would need to win to even get into it, to be fair. Where do you see this one going, Rodders?
I like Authorised Art. Unfortunately, Tom Siegel's tipped him today, hasn't he? Which has kind of wrecked the price. He was 20 odd to 1 last night. But he's got a class edge, hasn't he? He was a very good chaser. He was rated 151 when he finished third in a good handicap chase at Punchestown for Willie Mullins. He's had 2 runs for Gary and Josh Moore, not really shown a heck of a lot, but he's racing off 141 here, so £10 lower than 3rd at Punchestown, off top weight, and I like that. I like class angles off top weight. You know, I mean, we know that this horse has got the ability to win this race if he shows up when he's best. Now, in the back of my mind is Gary and Josh Moore. They love Sandown, don't they? Well, certainly Gary did. I remember a few years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago, I think Gary, it was probably more than that actually. Shows you time quick. When Cider Grugy won the Tingle Creek, so you're probably going back 6-7 years. It was a long time. I remember he was interviewed afterwards, Gary Moore, and he said someone said, "Oh, you know, well, you're going to be going to Cheltenham with Cider Grugy," and the first thing he said was, "No, this is my Cheltenham, Sandown. This is my Cheltenham." You know, so as soon as I saw that horse coming in off top weight, the angle that I like, again coming down the handicap with that class angle, trained by a trainer that I know will have them right for this meeting, that was good enough for me at double figure odds. But yeah, the price has gone a little bit now that Tom Siegel's put him up price wise, unfortunately.
Shaped well over 2 mile behind Rubo on his first run, didn't he? Not so good last time.
No, not so good last time, but you've got to take what you've seen already for Gary and Josh with a pinch of salt. He's had 1 run over fences, 1 run over hurdles. They're probably still finding their way with him, weren't they? The trip is a bit of an unknown. I mean, he's never won beyond 2.5, has he? And this is going to be a stiff old 3 miles up that hill at Sandown on testing ground. But if he gets it, he might outclass him, I thought.
Yeah, you'd be a brave man to go against Gary and Josh at Sandown, wouldn't you, to be fair? But I'd just like to see a little bit more form recently for that. You know, will he bounce back for the win here after 2 subpar runs? I love Henry II here, or Henry II, whatever way you want to pronounce it. I think it's well documented Paul's were taking a run, first run of the season, so he's had that. He's won at Sandown before Grade 2, which is, you know, very important, because I think Sandown, you need to kind of, it's a very traditional hill. You turn in there and you get to the top, it takes a lot of getting, so horses have acted there before. I think it's a massive plus for me, and I think off 125, I think he's well handicapped, and I think 4-1 is a very generous price, to be honest.
I agree. We'll say why in a minute, but let's go over to Johnny.
That you two both come down on that, right? Henry II, because I thought the best piece of Sandown form actually came from Dubrovnik Carry when he finished 3rd behind, what was the horse called? St. Davy last year. Amino was 2nd. You know, that was at the track, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's a strong enough piece of form, isn't it?
Strong old piece of form. But I mean,
he's not had a run, has he?
He's not had a run, and the price is short enough, tight enough, and at 5-1, 9-2. But for me, if I was taking Sandown form, I'd be with Dubrovnik Carry.
All right, Johnny.
Yeah, I think it's a tight race. The ground there yesterday looked pretty taxing, and I'm not sure Henri II is going to be a glutton for that in nearly a 3 mile race. Dubrovnik Harry is a horse that he's threatened to be a good horse, but he hadn't really delivered. West of the Bridges is rising 12 years of age. Operation Mana, and that's assured. But the horse I was given a good chance here is Super Survivor. He's coming back from well, he had a run at the end last year against Tanganyika in a race in Newbury when the ground was absolutely bottomless. I think he was beating 25 lengths, but the winning distance were like 25, 28 and 30. So that'll tell you what kind of conditions were that day. But his chasing form was okay, but he didn't really go forward as a chaser. He's back over hurdles here, and I just think he could be dangerous, like back in a hurdle race off a similar mark that he had over hurdles originally, and he'd be the one I'd be picking in a trappy race, to be fair now. But I think he'll be in the first 3 Super Survivor. Not saying he'd win, but I do think he's a reasonable place or each way bet.
All right, fair enough, Johnny. I am all over on with the second. To be honest, I think he's crying out for a trip. He's a half brother to Enrilo, who won the Bet365 Gold Cup over 3 mile 5 here, but had it taken off him in the stewards room. He's by Sadler Maker, whose horses absolutely love the mud. He won the Winter Novices Hurdle, which is a Grade 2 in soft ground 2 years ago. He won a 5-4 favourite for a Grade 2 novice chase here last year, first time out. Didn't jump well. We've only seen him once since. He's running off 125. Now has a claimer on board. I will be very disappointed if he doesn't win, to be honest. And Operation Mano, who won the race last year, he's the one for the forecast. On to the 225, another handicap hurdle here, and 2 horses who finished 1st and 2nd, first time out at Ascot last year, head to bet in here. Johnny, have you had a look at this race?
Yeah, look, it's again, it's a tricky enough race. I'd be leaning towards Altabelli here. I think his hurdle form last year was like a really top high end handicap hurdle form against like Lucci and those horses. Will Mount, to me, a horse that's bled, and what Aidan referenced there is Sandown, like, is a unique kind of a test, and I just think Sandown on the hurdle course will invariably expose horses with issues, and a bit like the previous test. I know you fancy Henry the second. He's had wind surgery. I don't like horses that have that kind of stuff coming to a place like this. I just think frailties will be exposed at a track like this. So I'd be against Wilmount. I thought Altobelli definitely has a good chance. It's his first run of the season, but I do think his back his hurdle form back last season was better than this kind of a contest, and he'd be one I'd be going with.
Fair enough, Johnny. Going back to Henry II, I wouldn't worry about wind surgery for Paul Nicholls trained horse. Most of them have them these days, don't they? So that wouldn't bother me in the absolute slightest. Rodders, how do you see this one?
I like Spirit Don't Know. He won on this day, wasn't it, last year? I think we were all on him.
He won this race.
That's it. Yeah, we were all on him. Yeah, I remember. I think we might have had a drink on him. And he's £4 higher, isn't he, this
and then
year?
frittered away all the winnings, as usual.
Yes, in true style. He's £4 higher than when winning this race last year. Yeah, but we know he loves Sandown. We know he'd go through the testing ground, and he actually didn't run too badly on a few of his starts afterwards. I mean, he contested the Betfair hurdle. He contested a hot handicap hurdle at Aintree when he was 66-1, finished 5th. And he turned up at Ascot a couple of weeks ago and fell very early. But at least we know, he would have been right. He would have been right for that race, and he's 2 or 3 weeks on, aren't we? So I've already said about the Gary and Josh Moore that they will have targeted this meeting, and the race will obviously have been on Spirit Down Now's agenda, given that he won it last year. I mean, this is a lot easier than some of the races he was contesting last year, I think. That Betfair hurdle and the Imperial Cup, when he was back here in the Imperial Cup. I mean, this would be a bit weaker than that. So it's good enough for me anyway. Yeah, Spirit Don't Know.
Well, Spirit Don't Know. Yeah, they've got another one, Royal Way, haven't they?
Yeah.
That's been nibbled at in the market this morning.
It's always a bit of a worry, isn't it?
I mean, I must admit, I personally thought Spirit Don't Know was the one that stood out most of those two, but I mean, he seems to have been nibbled. He's a little bit shorter now when it was the other way round last night. Aidan.
Love Knickerbocker Glory here. I think Skeltons are, well, obviously they don't need any introduction from me, and this horse won first time last year, which is obviously a plus. And then his form tailed off a bit, and obviously Dan, he's made no secret he's going for the championship, and he's going to target Pacific races with horses, and I think this horse this will be his Gold Cup. This is his Cheltenham, I think, because as I say, he's good fresh, good prize money for for Dan in the championship, and I think he'll target this with this horse, and hoping he'll win, and then the rest of the season's kind of a bonus with him. So that Skelton's in 2 mile handicap hurdles as well. Like you can't really go against them, can you?
Yeah, I must have in most races, but 2 mile handicap hurdles
is very, very good.
I just think this is his Cheltenham. That horse,
absolutely. I think we're singing off the same hymn sheet as well, because I put him up as well. I made it between 3, and then the front 2 of the betting and Spirit Dodo were the ones I liked the most. But Knickerbocker Glory beat Altobelli just over 4 lengths last year, first time out at Ascot. He is £8 worse off if you include the jockey's claims. Now, I had an argument with a mate of mine the other day about whether you do include the jockey's claims or not, because they're supposed to need it. Well, you know what I mean? Because he was ridden by Tristan Dole last year when he beat Altobelli. He's not today, so he's £8 worse rather than £3 worse off.
But Altobelli's a big old clumsy.
He's a big old. That's it. I've got a mistake in him. You can always see him dragging a leg through one.
Having said that, I always thought Knickerbocker Glory was a bit of a nutcase. Certainly in his early in his career.
He's going to make it a test, isn't he? And but, when you said it's going to be his target, Dan Skelton in his stable tour when it came out a month ago said there is a 2 mile handicap hurdle in the first week of December at Sandown that has his name written all over it.
That's ominous, isn't it?
So it's been the target, and I think he's going to go very close. And none of us seem to like Will Mount.
I just think it's a long way back from his last run, isn't it? It's look, what's he 1-3-5? So he could blow these away. Like some of his form last year, he was looking like he potentially could be special, but at the same time, it's hard to really fancy a horse in a competitive race after his last run. And look, I wouldn't be surprised if he won, but it's a bit like old Jericho de Repine, isn't he? Yeah.
He's sort of coming here on a bit of a retrieval, isn't he? Having sort of looked like he might be the second coming at some point last season, then disappearing off the face of the earth for ages, and like many of Henderson's, I suppose, who weren't right towards the end of the season. But I don't think he's got the form, has he, to warrant the price.
I don't think the
It's
form's
reputation,
great.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's reputation.
His reputation. Right, we've got 3 minutes until the second inspection, so we might as well talk about the big race before they call it off. I just had a message from Richie's racing manager, Joe Chambers, who lives in Esher, and says it's getting notably worse here, which is a little bit ominous.
Yeah.
But let's pretend it's still going to happen until it doesn't. And here we have the Betfair Tingle Quick Chase. John Bon, 1 to 2 favourite, winner last year, winner pretty much every time he runs. Occasional blip with his jumping, but is he bomb-proof today?
Oh, I think so. I think, I can't see how you could go against him. I can see maybe you can make a case for some of the others getting potentially close to him, but he's unbeaten around Sandown, including, I don't know how many grade ones. This is his track here in Aintree. I've always said, from riding him, he acts better here than at Cheltenham. And the only times he's ever been beat is Cheltenham, isn't it? And two of them were, well, one of them was Constitution Hill, one of them was the horse in the Arkle, name escapes me now, and our second him, El Fabiolo. And obviously, Tizard's horse last year, which that was after he nearly fell. But I think Sandown, Tingle Creek, he's made for it. And I, obviously I'm a huge fan of his for obvious reasons, but it's very hard to oppose him. I can't see, he won his first start of the year. He always turns up, even if he's second, he runs well.
Yeah,
and,
he's a winner, isn't he?
He just wins,
and he's a trier. I mean, I remember trying to poo-poo him early in his novice hurdle career, and I thought he was beaten that day at Haydock.
Yes.
And he just stuck his head down.
But I've always said, if you look at that race every year, like last year he got beat by is Elixir no was it?
Elixir
The year before I won the Kingmaker on him and it wasn't impressive, and the year before that was the Haydock run. See what happens is he wins this at Christmas, Nicky lets him down, gives him a kind of a bit of a break, and then trains him back up. So it's very much a prep run, the run between Christmas and.
But he still tries, doesn't he?
I'm like, again, as I said, I'm his biggest fan. I love the horse, so I just think it's 1 to 2 to get round really, or something to go wrong that hasn't gone wrong before. If he gets beat here, you're going to be reading about an excuse. And that's it, simple as.
Absolutely right. Johnny, I gather you think he'll probably win, but you're not going to back him. I want your opinion on the Irish runner, because I had a good row with Tom Siegel about him last night. I think he's more of a candidate for Quillix just for last than first, than second to John Bon, and Tom really fancies him.
Yeah, look, Quillix is that kind of a horse. There's a touch of the Jekyll and Hyde about him. I think if he did happen to get on the bunny here in front, he could put in a performance, but his runs in behind horses are not so clever, and he's a horse. I agree with you. He could even win, but he could easily be last. He's a horse I wouldn't back. I know there's only 7 runners, but I wouldn't even have backed him each way if there was 8. That kind of stuff. Somebody could take him on for the lead. Maybe Edwardstone go out in front here or whatever. There doesn't seem to be that much else that could make the running at the same time.
No reason why John Bon won't.
Yeah, well, John Bon I'd say Calixtus will try and lead John Bon. I would imagine he would. So that's his best chance of beating him anyway. He won't want to come from behind him anyway. So I'd say Calixtus will try and make the running here. Look, I think he has a bit of a chance, but I agree with I kind of agree with yourself and Tom Segal. I think he has a slight chance, but I do think that if he doesn't win, which is probably he's 6 to 1 not to win, he is a finishing last or pulled up candidate. Do you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So. I look, the favourites 2 to 1 on in a chase here with 60 mile an hour winds and all. If it does happen to be on, I'm just not going to back him. I wouldn't I'm not going to bother with him today. He's as his form suggests. Look at his record. It's either wins or seconds, and he probably will win. Would they want to lay him? No, but I'm just not going to leave him go today 2 to 1 on at the same time.
Fair enough, Johnny. Good points made. Rodders, your opinion?
I thought that he was absolutely bomb-proof, to be honest. And I was amazed at how many people were trying to make a case against him. He's won 4 from 4 at Sandown, all grade 1s. Never looked like he was going to get beat there. He's won virtually every race that he's run in, bar 3, isn't it? I think all at Cheltenham.
It's a narrative with John Bon, though, isn't it? They always look for reasons against him every time, or to knock him or something like that.
I guess because he's always short, isn't he? So he's always trying to find a reason. I mean, I don't fancy Quilixios at all. Same as Kills. I mean, I think he could start now and have no chance. But having said that, Tom Siegel's tipped him. Robbie Wilders was tipping him yesterday. Judges who I respect. So I think it wouldn't be the wildest surprise if he won, but I wouldn't be having him on my mind. I actually think that if there is
right, here we go. We're going to say there was betting without John Bon. I mean, that makes it a much more interesting betting heat, doesn't it? Right, so we have 15.08 Quilixios on the drift, 11.4 Edwardstone, 9.2 JPR1. These are best prices. 15.2 Master Chewy, 8 Boot Hill, 12 Solness. Yeah, Boot Hill's quite big, isn't he? That's my initial feeling.
He's a funny horse, though, isn't he? You know, he has to be, I suppose they'll ride him, won't he, for that? They will ride him for a place. They always ride him out the back. I thought Master Chewy. I thought he had a chance of running a big race. I mean, he ran well the first time out. I don't know what way the wind's blowing. If the wind's blowing
up the home, down the home straight, into their faces, he'll stop, won't he?
Benzo's ridden.
That's the way. Yeah, I know, but I mean, he's got to see some air at some point.
Yeah, I like him. I just don't think he's good enough. Really, he's a very good horse, but
loads of talent. He's just he's
not. I don't think he's a talent. I think he's a 1 mile 6 furlong chaser.
Yeah,
only 1 mile 6 furlong.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's a strong traveller. Be interesting to see what way they ride Edwardstone, isn't it? Because obviously his best form last year was by far that day he blitzed off in front at Newbury, and he looked really happy doing that.
But then he tried again in the champion chase, and the big guns blew out, and he fell. When
but it was bottomless ground. He wouldn't walk on the ground, and I think with the wind it'll probably dry out a little bit. It will help him.
It was raining when I came back in.
It wasn't raining when I was in here an hour earlier than you see, so it wasn't raining then. It was dark, mind.
I'd have still been in bed.
I just think, well, it'd be interesting to see which way they ride him. That's the only thing. Him and Quilixios, if they take each other on, then I don't think it will suit, because Edwardstone, as Tom Cannon said before, John Bon always seems to outstay him, so it's probably naive to go out in front and give John Bon a target. But then I think if he sits behind him, he's not good enough to pass him out. But if they want to be second, they're probably best chances to follow John Bon maybe. And
but I mean, Nico wouldn't let him set a really slow pace, would he?
He won't
go himself, wouldn't he?
No, but I don't think it'll be a slow pace. I think Quilixios, Edwardstone, one of them will make sure it's a good even pace, where the two of them take each other on and they go really fast, and that's another thing. I think you're guaranteed a normal, and at least an even gallop here.
Right. Johnny, who wins without the Fav?
I'd go with something like maybe to pick up the pieces, just assuming John Bon wins, the ones that force it could well be compromised later on. And I like the look of maybe Master Chewy, same as Graeme there. He's like he ought to be second to Arkle, isn't he, Master Chewy? Do you know what I mean? He's one of those horses that has a lot of seconds on his CV. So he'd be the one I'd pick maybe for the without market.
Right, okay. I think Boot Hill's quite a big price at 8, so I wouldn't have thought of backing him originally, but 8 without the Fav interests me. Right, on to the last. Still no news from Sandown, so we're going to get to preview this, whether it turns out pointless or otherwise. The Betfair Exchange London National Handicap. Two relatively young and fairly inexperienced horses. Montgomery, Mr. Vango, top the charts.
Yeah, first run for the year for both of them as well, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like 3.5 miles first run of the year. Like, I know top connections, but that's why I was going from a different angle. I was going with Tommy Bowe. Thought he was probably going to win the cross country race last time when he went wrong way. Whatever he did. We all know him was exonerated, so fair play to him. That was good. You never like to see anyone get a big ban for something like that, but look, he stays. I was thinking he hasn't ran in this before. I couldn't believe he hadn't run in this race before, and I looked through his form because he seemed to run in every other regional kind of national and 3.5 mile chase. So he's no Sandown form, but like he looks a very assured jumper. I was just kind of going with the angle over this attritional test. A horse that's had a run this year.
Hard fit.
Yeah.
I like Ballygriffin Cottage. I think he deserves to win one of these. He hasn't won since November 2022, I think it was, at Haydock, but he slammed Beauport that day in the novice chase. He was a good staying herder. I think he was third or fourth in the Albert Bartlett, wasn't he, at Cheltenham as a novice. And he's run loads and loads of good races, including one at the track last year. I think he was second there. He was 6th or 7th in the Scottish Grand National over 4 miles. He definitely wants soft ground, Ballygriffin Cottage. He was an early faller, wasn't he? Was that a faller recently, I think? But he was 4th previously at Chepstow in a race that's worked out okay. Pullagen Green was second man of the People, was third. Neon Moon's won since. He's one of those horses who always runs to a level, a bit like we were talking earlier about Lord de Sud. He's a very similar sort of horse. He's always going to give you a level, and I think it will take a good horse to come and beat him. They might well come and beat him, but I'm sure he'll run well again, and hopefully this time he might get his head in front rather than finish second or third.
Sandown, is on.
Excellent.
Passed it again. I'll have a word with Chambers later on in the boozer.
He's put you away, hasn't he?
You wimp. Probably walking around, probably not that windy at all. Johnny, is this your sort of race?
Yeah, I knew it would be on you. This is a hard race, isn't it? Really?
Have you been tapping away? Have you back in racing on past inspection on the old exchanges?
Yeah, I looked out there. I knew it was set to be on. Look, I could have told you that an hour ago. Listen, this is a hard race. Of course it is. These kind of races, I'd be kind of looking down the market a bit and hoping for a strange result, because I do think if a strange result is likely in a race like this, a horse that interests me at a biggish price. He's not even on the list. There is a horse called Collector's Item. Look, he's a complete. I think he's in around the 20-1 mark, but he's a Jekyll and Hyde horse, no question about it. But he has McLaren on him, who is a great jockey to get tunes out of horses. I know there's nothing wrong with John Dineen. He's a very good rider also, but it's the horse more than anything else, and he's a horse that can throw in some horrendous runs as well. But at 20-1, if he did happen to get a tune out of him that he could like coax him along here, he has plenty of ability, this horse. But he doesn't always produce it, and like I just think he's a horse. I wouldn't even back him each way. He's a horse that could run terrible, but at them kind of odds, he's worth maybe a small bet.
Fair enough, Johnny. Well, I backed a couple in here. I was looking at this, but when the ground is really deep in this race, last year it was heavy ground. The oldest horse in the race won it. 2020 it was soft ground. The combined ages of the first three home was 35. So I want a horse with experience. I do like Broken Halo nearer the head of the market, because he goes so well at Sandowns, won the military and Royal Artillery Gold Cups, and may well have won this last year. And I backed Dr. Kananga at a big price as well. He's fallen a long way down the weights over the last couple of seasons, but ran 2 good seconds last year. The horse is much higher in the handicap, and Rex Dingle has a pretty good record for the yard. Those are my 2. That's your Saturday previews. We've got the Irish Angle coming up after this. All right, Rodders has just breathed a sigh of relief that Sandown is on, saying at least we haven't wasted our breath for the last half an hour. Well, he doesn't realise that we're now going to Sandown, and by the end of the day we may well have wasted our breath and our money. And hopefully the man to get us out of it in Ireland is Johnny Dineen, who's going to give us a rundown. There's some good races at Navan today, Johnny.
Yeah, there is. There'll be short price favourites here now at the same time, but look, there are good horses running. Starting with the first maiden hurl is divided. I looked at the horse of Willie Mullins. Is like you could see why they bought it out of a race that Magborough won in France in Auteuil. Looked to be kind of half tenderly handled. Finished 5th, I think. I'd say if it was ridden aggressively, it would have been 2nd. Finished in front of Batman Girac, who's already a 130 horse in that race. And like I'd say, you could be looking. I don't know anything about the horse, but you could be looking at a potential supreme novice horse here. You know what I mean? In a race like this, so he'd be completely unopposable. The second race, there doesn't appear to be anything of that kind of maybe strength in it. But Echoing Silence is a horse that a mare belonged to the Bromhead that cost, I'd say, plenty coming in here. And the fact that he's putting it in against Geldings, he did it with a horse lately there, the big Westerner in Punchestown, and that won. And I'd say there is good talk of Echoing Silence anyway, so I wouldn't be against that. The third race, the Cheltenham Bumper favourite Jasmine DeVoe is in here. He's a horse I don't really like, Jasmine DeVoe, even though he won the Cheltenham Bumper. I'd leave him win at the price he's going to be. There's a few horses here that could be useful in their own right, and he's going to be like 4 to 9, that stuff. I think I'd leave him off. The next race is the Yellow Clay. That should win, but it's going to be 1 to 2 again. It's given weight to the field, £3 and more. I think it's given 10 for £7 or more, even £10 to the mares down the bottom. But it looks to have a good height, a big class edge over these horses. Then you're into a handicap hurdle, wide up. That's probably the hardest race of the day. It's a £100,000 3-mile handicap hurdle.
It's a tough race, that, isn't it? It's a tough race, because we've got a traitor at the head of the market.
Yeah, it's a cracking race. Okay, what is favourite, Paul, in it?
Well, intense raffles. I mean,
Yeah,
he won the Irish Nash. I mean,
that's
I
right.
just
Yeah,
checked on what's it. Brian. He's gone over to ride him, but I mean, he's running
yeah.
off. He's running off
You'd
his chase
imagine.
mark at a hurdle race, and he's got no hurdle form really.
You'd imagine that. I'm only guessing that would have no chance in a race like this. And like you'd imagine that they're intent on protecting that, like staying away from chases. They want to go up for the English national. So I couldn't see that being razor sharp in a race like this. It'd be 11, 12 in a race with loads of unexposed horses down the bottom. I wouldn't give that a prayer anyway myself. But I'd be looking towards a horse like Prince Garde Trois, number 10, who has a bit of upside and not much. He hasn't much experience for a race like this, but he looks like a strong stayer. It's a wide open race at the same time. The next race is wide open as well.
Hang on, Johnny. Before you do it, what do you know about the £7 claimer on Good Time Johnny, who's running in his first hurdle since the year that he won the Pertemps?
Yeah, look, that's Norman Williamson's son, like, and
Is it right?
they don't they don't lick it off a stone. Those fellas. I mean, you know what I mean. He's going to be a good amateur anyway, and probably going to be. If I was fancying Good Time Johnny, I'd be quite happy with him taking it down to 11 stone. That's a horse with a chance, I'd say. Good Time Johnny, actually. Like I wouldn't put anyone off backing it now, and I wouldn't. He wouldn't put me off anyway. That's for sure. Like he's kind of behind Harry Swan in the pecking order in Elliott's as a bumper rider. But if he wasn't behind him, like he's just that bit younger than Harry Swan. So, but he'll get his chances, and he won't have that £7 that for too long, I'd imagine. He definitely wouldn't be a reason not to back it anyway. And the next race is a 2.5 mile handicap chase. That's very tough. The novice chases, it looks like these novice chases in Ireland. The ones with the big ratings tend to fight it out. So it's probably going to be between Ile Atlantique and Good Land. I'm not a fan of Ile Atlantique, to be honest. He's a bit on the soft side, but he probably win this. And the last favourite is they're shouting from the rooftops about he can't dance. I'd say he'd be going to be unbackable. 1-4 or 1-5. I'd say that will win it for sure.
Yeah, going back to that beginner's chase, we've also got Waterford Whispers and What's Up Darling in there. They were in the first. I think Waterford Whispers was second. What's Up Darling was sixth in the Martin Pipe last year when the top six finished in the first six.
These kind of races that the market gives a good guide as to what's going to happen. So I'd expect there's a good chance that there'll only be about 2 horses in this race under 10-1. And the ones over 10-1 will just maybe have insighters for other days. The jockey bookings is another pointer really as to the intent, I suppose you'd like to call it. I'd say when it comes to
we always joke when it comes to the big field Irish maiden hurdles, especially that triers at the front. Is that the way you look at it?
Yeah, well, it's something similar to that, and I want to be up in quarter end of that, but but yeah, that kind of a thing really. So you'll probably see 2 horses down at the first, and 6 lengths back to the third, and then another 4 back to, and then there's a melee at the finish trying to be last. Do you know what I mean? So, and look, it's probably going to be between the two of them, and I suppose you'd probably side with Ile Atlantique.
Oh, brilliant, Johnny. And bet of the day at Navan, as long as it's not your bet of the day elsewhere.
No, it's not my bet. I'll go for look, and I'll go for something that's reasonably priced. I'd go with Prince Garde Trois maybe each way in that handicap order.
Excellent. Right, thanks a lot for that, Johnny. We've got one more race to look at, and that's tomorrow at Huntingdon. And it's the Peterborough Chase, assuming Huntingdon goes on, because now they've got an inspection planned. So we shall have to wait and see on that. But a good little field this. Even the outsider won the Old Rome Chase last time out, but Protector at 13-8 favourite. Ginny's Destiny 9-4, Jello 7-2, Nickelback 9-1, Manila Drama 14. Last year's Ryanair winner, Protector at Rodders.
Yes, well, we had a bit of a debate, didn't we, on another show quite recently about, if they weren't tuning him up for the Paddy Power, then what were they hooking him up for? Maybe they were hooking him up for this one, because I don't think he was tuned up for that Paddy Power, was he? He was a bit disappointing, I thought, anyway, that day. I know the ground wasn't ideal for him, but he's a 3-mile staying chaser of the past, isn't he? Who at one point we thought needed an absolute bog. who suddenly has reinvented himself as a decent 2.5 miler, who's now running around a right-handed track when most of his best form's going the other way, and a very sharp track as well, isn't it, at Huntingdon? So if there was one horse that you would, that I would, if you said to me if there's one horse who won't like Huntingdon going right-handed over 2.5 miles, I would probably tell you it'd be Protectorat, but here he is at 13-8 favourite, so I'll be dead against him.
Well, against that, official rating 166, Ginny's Destiny 154, Jello 149.
Yeah, still unexposed though, aren't the other two? You know, they're just coming out their novice year, aren't they? Ginny's Destiny and Jello, so they've not really had a chance to compete against top horses and get high rating, have they? So
that's exactly, and I think Jello, if anyone just goes back and looks at his last run in the Holden Gold Cup, he looked like he really needed it. He was always off it. You know, Charlie Deutsch was niggling him the whole way, whether it was a trip or his first run of the season. Either way, he's going to improve for the step back up and trip to 2.5. And he's had a run under his belt. I thought it was an absolutely fantastic run, considering if you stop the race halfway, you're thinking he's going to pull up.
I backed him that day. I thought some of his jumps were a little bit slow compared to some of the others.
I think this trip will suit him. Mind you, it's going to be running a hell of a speed with Nickelback in there. You know, he's a Grade 1 winning novice over 2.5, so you could look at him being overpriced. But I think it's just Jello with the benefit of a run. And there's just a couple of question marks about the top two in the market for me. Paul didn't give us too much information on Ginny's Destiny, did he?
Got the impression that he was a bit disappointed.
Yeah, I
think you have to be a bit disappointed, don't you, with what happened? I mean,
but yeah, I think it's interesting that, as Paul said as well, he was the winner 4 out and he was basically pulled up 3 out, wasn't he? So that's a worry for me.
Quickly enough.
Very
First
quickly.
Time out last year though as well.
Yeah, as he said, which is interesting, and then he improved afterwards. So
you know, I always say, you know, don't worry about their first time record previously when they're being targeted at a big race, because they'll have been trained differently, but it obviously didn't work.
No, it's kind of a bit like that Wilmot thing. Like, could you fancy him after such a bad run the last time? I just love Jello because I think if anything's going to come on for a run, it's him, and he ticks the boxes for me.
Obviously, Venetia can win with anything at the moment as well.
Literally anything, yeah. All those stables are in form, aren't they? But Venetia's are in particularly good form.
Venetia's got like the most ridiculous record going, hasn't she? I think if you'd backed all of her chasers in November to January in the last 15 years, you'd have won 13 times out of 15. You know, every time this time of year, they're always right, and she's got them going again. Yeah. And I like Jello as well. I thought he ran really well last time. I think that Ginny's Destiny has got the potential to be the best horse in the race. The thing that, not only the poor run last time, but going right-handed again, we'll sort of put this at a Protectorat's door. I think Ginny's Destiny did run once at Huntingdon, was disappointing there. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was over hurdles. And obviously all of Ginny's best form last year was at Cheltenham, wasn't it? And this is a massively different course to that. So
he doesn't. Yeah, his form elsewhere away from Cheltenham is nothing special at all, is it?
No, you know, so that would be in the back of your mind that he comes here off a disappointing run at his favourite track, doesn't he? So nevertheless, I'm dead keen to take on the Fav, as I've already said. So I would probably be a layer of Protectorate and take Ginny's Destiny and Jello both on my side and hope that one of them gets the job done.
And this is Jello's time of year as well. He won his first 3 starts last year, so.
He's got a fair bit to do out of the weights.
I understand that.
We know that, but I suppose you can pick holes in the others. I can see where you're coming from. I sort of think and hope Protectorat will just win because he should. But I can see the negatives. How did you look at this one, Johnny?
I think with doubts about them all, I don't think I'd ever stab off Nickelback. Just the fact that he's probably going to get it loose, and even though there is like Manila Drama likes to be up there and that, but I don't think anything's going to lead Nickelback. And he's a horse that he has beaten Jello before in a race in Sandown where everything goes right. When he pings every fence, he's just a dangerous horse in a race, and he can get horses out of their comfort zone. And this is the place where the fences kind of come thick and fast at stages in the race. And he'd be the one I'd go over. Now there's a big gap between I think it's the third last to the second last. But down the back there, they come like in fairly quick succession. Like so, he's a horse that can get horses out of their comfort zone. He did it with the ill-fated Hermé Allen one day in Sandown. But look, I won't be surprised if they catch him like coming away from the third last and he finishes last year. But at nearly double figure odds. Whereas there's doubts about every single horse in the race. I think I'd put Jello in number 2. I definitely wouldn't have Ginny's Destiny on the back of his last run, and Protectorat something similar. Manila Drama's probably up against it. Look, I think just a small bet on Nickelback. I think you have a good chance of getting a squeeze anyway.
Excellent, Johnny. Well done. Right, before we go to the naps, we're going to just have a quick discussion on what happened last week, because Saturday, Sir Gino came out, bolted up in the fight in fifth hurdle, went down to 3-1 for the champion hurdle. Sunday, he was back out to 4-1 for the champion hurdle because a certain Lossy Mouth
She was
absolutely gagged up. Who wins the champion hurdle, Johnny? Can anything beat Lossy Mouth, assuming Constitution Hill doesn't come back, or even if he does?
Yeah, look, I suppose the £7 that she's going to be getting from the mare, it puts her in it puts her in pole position. Saying that, you know, they were both impressive, and like they both take your eye out, really, Lassie Mount and Sir Gino, but they didn't achieve a whole load, really. You know what I mean? It would be interesting if they faced each other off in Kempton as to who'd come out probably best there. But so Gino's race fell asunder with Mystical Power, but he did really win really impressively, and you couldn't fault him. And Lassie Mount, to be fair, they probably didn't go hard enough in the race, and it kind of set the race up for her against the T-Hoopos. After saying that, she was a bit free and did make a pretty poor jump at about the fourth last, and still able to come back and win easy. So, look, if you were on them, you'd be kind of like very, very happy with their performances. But there'll be stiffer tasks ahead now. I mean, but I do think one thing, though, that it kind of put the likes of Stateman on the back foot. I think one of these two would definitely be the likes of a solid horse like Stateman. These look really sexy, classy horses, the two of them.
Excellent. How do you see this? I know I looked at it, I thought Sir Gino was ace, but looking at my initial thought was, yeah, he looked really good, but the form isn't that, is it? Because Lump Sum's rated only 143. Lossy Mouse just breezed past horse rated 164.
Yeah, like if you're looking at form, like although Lump Sum's obviously a very good horse, but he won a handicap the last time, whereas Lassie Mouth beat Hoopo, who won the Stairs and the Irish Stairs as well. So I thought she couldn't have been any more impressive. Like at this stage of the season, I struggle to see her being beat at the champion hurdle, because it's like, where is Constitution Hill? Are we going to see him again? And if we do, it's a big chance that we're going to see him as good as he was the last time we saw him, however long ago that was.
Yeah, no, I think he's finished, isn't he? I mean, I'd be very surprised if he comes back.
I hope he isn't, but you wouldn't be surprised if he is.
God, it can't be a million, and that he comes back and wins another champion hurdle. It'll be one of the greatest training performances of all time.
I think so. If anyone can do it, probably Nicky Henderson.
Yeah, anyone can, Nicky can, but
I think the bookies will only lay about 4, let alone
Lossy Mouth was good, wasn't she? I mean, I think she would have won it last year if they'd let her line up. You know, I know they're going on about this nonsense about 4-year-olds and all. You know, I mean, Sir Gino just proved that if you're good enough, then you're old enough, and I thought he looked very good too. But of course, his main danger, Mystical Power, whatever it's called, totally blew out, didn't it? So he was left with nothing to beat. Now, Lossy Mouth, that race was really run to suit her, wasn't it? Because Tiupu is a staying hurdler, and they went no pace. So, you know, she had the race run to suit, and she took full advantage. But you can't fault the way she did it.
Given all the others were trained by Gordon Elliott, you'd have thought they'd have done something about that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I think it was more about the long term, though, wasn't it? You know, do we really want to give Tiupu a really hard race at this time of the season?
He wins first time out every year.
But
He only runs a
he's
couple
in
of
the
times,
field now
isn't
for a break till March. So that was.
It's not like he's going to run 2 weeks later and 3 weeks after that, is it? It's just not the way he's.
But she was good, and as Johnny says, I mean, £7 she's getting off of all of them as well. I mean, that just
she wins
it, don't she?
Yeah, personally, I think only a peak form Constitution Hill could beat Lossy Mouth, giving her £7. I thought she was superb, and she's very much the one to beat. But right now, last portion of it, we've got the naps of the day. Let's go to Johnny, because I know you're just about to jump on a plane and come over and join us at Sandown.
yeah, I missed it actually. I chanced wall bucks in a race there in the middle of the morning, I should say, in Wetherby. I thought it ran well the last in 2.5 miles. It looks like it stays well, and it will improve for its last run. It definitely has a very good chance in that race.
Excellent. Final Wetherby. First race in about half an hour, by the way. So
yeah, that's right.
Ridiculously so.
Crazy time down at horse racing, isn't
Aidan?
it? Yeah. Poor staff having to get up at all times to get their 10:30. I'm not sure is that the future of horse racing, starting racing that early, is it? No, not for me.
Race all day.
Not for me, yeah.
Mind you, the wind is due to arrive there after racing, isn't it? That's probably
could be genius.
Today,
could be genius. Yeah.
Blessing in disguise.
Maybe. I just think staff long term, it's not a great advertisement, is it? Getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go racing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Better today?
Knickerbocker Glory. obviously discussed earlier. I think, as I said, I think this is his champion hurdle, and we talked about him earlier. I just think he's a great bet at 7-2.
I'm torn between the two Gary and Josh Moore runners, which was Spirit Dono, but came down on Authorised Art, seeing as Aidan's gone for Knickerbocker Glory in the same race as Spirit Dono. So Authorised Art for me still a fair
so you're going up
price.
against me now instead?
Oh yeah, well,
Because I've got on.
Not so worried about that.
I've got on with the second. We should wait. So I've got on with the second. I reckon if you have an each way double on with the second, the Knickerbocker Glory, you will not lose money. But they're the ones for me. That's the naps. That's the lot. Don't forget to join us again next week. Like, subscribe, share, etc. It's Cheltenham next week. See you then.